Hello, everyone. We are meeting in our weekly webinar. This one became a tradition, and every time we're enjoying a bigger and bigger audience. By the way, in the meantime, we're also uploading these episodes on our YouTube channel. So, in case you're missing it or you're missing the full episode, you can, of course, watch it a little bit later on YouTube. And one thing we're doing in order to make it even easier for you to get these great insights that we are sharing here is we are also posting them on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn in shorter videos. We know that not everyone has 1 hour to watch, so that's why we're also doing the shorter versions. So the biggest startup conference is approaching 8th till 10th of November. I think I'll never get tired repeating that. Sofia Event Center is the place. And we are gathering, when I say the biggest, we have a huge ambition. We are going to be 2,000 people in person live. So you'll have a lot of opportunities to network, to meet many great people, to learn and to get inspired from accomplished entrepreneurs. And talking about accomplished entrepreneurs, today we have Georgi Kadrev with me. Hi, Georgi.
Hi, good to see you all.
Thanks for joining us. And I think you're um, reinforcing the stereotype that entrepreneurs have high quality life in nature, working somewhere far away from, I don't know if you're at the seaside or if you're in the mountain, you're going to tell us, I guess.
Yeah, currently still at the seaside for a couple of days before the end of the season.
Nice. So who said that having a startup is working day and night with no holidays, right? Thanks for.
Well, in a way it is, but it's like even my current experience kind of allows me to work and have opportunities to relax, but it's more on a daily routine split basis rather than full days off, full days back in the office or something. But yeah, maybe we talk about this soon as well.
Nice. Yeah, exactly. That's the dream of the digital nomad, I guess, working from anywhere. Okay, so before we start with the interview with you, I'm sure it's going to be a very exciting conversation. One thing I wanted to tell everyone that who's watching and who will be watching the recording is sometimes we are making these announcements kind of on a short-term note. I mean, we're working against technology or with technology. Technology is working against us sometimes. So that's why if you want to make sure that you're not missing anything, just join our Viber group. There we are posting things like notifications real time. So you'll have the opportunity to get the latest updates. Last week we announced our one of our special guests. We're going to have many special guests. I mean, actually every guest we have is special, right? But like we announced one of the big stars joining us as well. So I highly recommend, highly advise that everyone joins the Viber channel. Also, at the days of the conference, we are going to be sending you push notifications about what's happening where and when, so that you have a better idea. Because as you can imagine, 2,000 people, it might get a little bit chaotic. There will be many things going on. There will be parallel sessions. So you want to make sure that you get the latest information in real time. Great. So, like I said, we are interrupting Georgi's holiday, so let's get into the conversation with him. And the first question I have for you, Georgi, is I mean, for those of people who don't know you, most probably they're going to go on LinkedIn and they're going to check that you're quite an accomplished person, quite an accomplished entrepreneur with many like doing many things at a time. You're an assistant professor at the university. You're one of the board members of the Health and Innovation cluster. You have a business, Imagga, for I think 16 years now. I guess you're going to correct me if I'm confusing the numbers.
That's
And
correct.
now you started something else, Kelvin Health, about which we're going to talk in a bit. So my first question is, when is it enough, or like, what is the drive for you to do so many things?
Um, Thank you for this question, and it's a very relevant one. Actually, a lot of people they think of me like a serial entrepreneur, but I wouldn't consider myself like that because all the things that I do they're kind of aligned together. So, for example, I'm currently an assistant professor in technology entrepreneurship. I look at this more like a philanthropic activity, practically sharing my experience, mostly practical, some theoretical as well. Because I've been studying entrepreneurship myself in the very same master degree program in Sofia University under Professor Petko Ruskov. And I felt this kind of paid forward kind of obligation in a very nice way to be able to share with young entrepreneurs in a very positive sense of the word and people who want to develop their startup skills eventually in a bit safer environment than real world at first. So I'm Actually, Imagga that you mentioned 16 years ago, it was not officially a company then, it was a pet project. I was a student
Mhm.
in technology entrepreneurship myself. And, I just decided I want to pursue this. I love the concept of entrepreneurship, how it helps you to develop as a person, etc. And then Kelvin Health, the latest venture, it's not actually a very separate venture from Imagga. It's a spin-off, and we use a lot of the lessons learned, the network, huge part of the team, some of the technological know-how that is very extensive now in the area of image recognition to create something that actually is very missionary driven. And I'm not saying this just to sugarcoat it. We had an internal joke occasionally, like I don't know, a month ago, that this is my midlife crisis thing. Uh, again, but I feel this. I completely agree with that in a very positive sense. After a certain age, I think you realize that you're not living forever, and you realize that you're not young forever, etc. And this comes also with some good benefits because you don't want to do things that are just showcasing yourself and being very accomplished and successful or recognized or famous or rich. These have certain thresholds that once you're past them, it would be a pure greed to just want more for yourself.
Yeah.
So Kelvin Health, in a way, is a midlife crisis positive outcome, meaning that we recognize the opportunity to apply our experience and our network and our technology know-how to create something that might be of a positive impact for many people around the world. We start with specific therapeutic areas, conditions that we can diagnose, but the mission is to be basically in every home and to assist in the proactive diagnostic care of practically almost any disease related to inflammation, oncology, or vascular problems.
Okay, well, that sounds complex. And I mean, talking about that, I was going to ask you because eventually it's a deep tech topic. And it sounds like you have a lot of experience with, I mean, first of all, technical background, but also a lot of experience with from Imaga, I guess, like as a kind of in the venture part. But I mean, I'm sure that starting a new venture definitely had its difficulties. So can you maybe tell us what were the main difficulties for you when you were starting the Kelvin Health project now?
Well, for Kelvin Health, a lot of the things that we've done with Imaga actually were very useful. So at least we didn't do the typical startup mistakes to try to, have too many things on your plate and not doing anything focused enough, or just listening to sporadic feedback from everybody, and at the end just have a messy kind of, I don't know, mutant, something that is not actually a very focused and very well executed project. Still, something that's very challenging for us, and we like challenge at the same time, is that we intentionally stayed aside from medical projects in the previous history of Imaga. So, for more than 10 years, we did a lot of different technologies, applications of technologies. None of them were in the medical space, and a huge reason for that is that the medical space is very responsible and it's very well regulated. So a lot of things that are just formal procedures and they're complex ones, and then they take literally years. So this means your time to market since the start is at least 3 5 years. So this comes with challenges by itself. So let's say if deep tech is challenging, then medtech
Yeah.
is even one level more challenging because it's by definition, almost by definition, a deep tech and then a regulated deep tech. So this, I think, is the
Yeah.
main challenge on the technical side. On the partnership side, things are going very well, and we're just walking the long path of regulatory approvals.
Got it. I mean, but I guess also based on what you're mentioning now, I can imagine that medtech is, in that sense, also an even higher risk venture because you have very long paths and you might not get these regulatory approvals at the end, right? So, how did you go about these risks, or are you saying you had enough experience in order not to be afraid of any of these risks?
So for us, we basically reached a state where Imaga can be a stable business, even if not like virally exploding or something, because of the overall state of the AI industry. or at least this type of technologies that we currently do, but have a good solid customer base, have some organic growth, have some stable team, etc. So we decided that Kelvin Health can be our exploratory application or our second, let's say, horse that we can put our money on. And this gave us a lot of leeway, and this gives us a lot of opportunity to go for the right things instead of going for the urgent things, or trying to save the day every day, etc. Trying to go and raise money and have a runway. We decided that we don't want to go that way. We had interest from local investors. We had some interest from outside investors. To a certain extent, we detoured this because we wanted to do all the right things in the right order with the right pace, which sometimes might be slower than it looks good for a venture that is, let's say, backed up by investors, etc. So I think this gives us a lot of comfort, and it's not like maybe the typical startup situation, but it's in a way a typical company spin-off situation.
Got it. Actually, at the conference, we are going to have several sessions where we present the different ways to finance the growth of your business. And I think this will be very useful because, as you just said, for example, having investors on board has its advantages, but it might also put you in, let's say, in a difficult situation sometimes, or might rush you or force you to be acting a little bit hastily. On the other hand, maybe there are people who actually prefer that because they actually prefer this natural push, I would say, and having
Mhm.
someone to be, let's say, accountable in front of. So maybe one thing that I'm curious about is because many of the people who will be joining the conference, they're looking into, for example, they have a business idea, but they're not sure if they should start on their own or if they should look for a co-founder. So how did you decide if you want to start a new venture on your own or if you want to look for co-founders and start something as a team?
Well, I think it's like raising a kid. You might be better off raising a kid alone or with a partner, or with many people helping. And there's not universal answer to that. It's very situational. It depends on who the people are. So if you find the right people, it's good to have more people, I think, on board because you have more perspectives. Also, if somebody is evaluating you from the outside world, it seems like you are partnerable because if one of the potential interpretations if you're doing everything on your own is that you just are not, you're a conflict person, you cannot work and find tactics or tempo to work with other people, so you are only very self-driven.
Yeah.
And this also comes with good qualities sometimes. uh, I think it's, again, it's very situational and depends on the people. I started a short newsletter about sharing my entrepreneurial thoughts several months ago.
Yeah.
Um, and one of the recent articles I posted there is what I would call the jungle rescue operation analogy. So to qualify somebody as a co-founder, you should believe that if you got lost in the jungle in an enemy territory, they will do whatever humanly possible to get you out of there. Because you have, will have as entrepreneurs many such situations, many fires to fight, many near-death experiences, and we need to be a team of people who support each other no matter what, who have a lot of loyalty. Maybe you cannot require extensive loyalty from your employees, though it would be, of course, nice, but you should be 100% demanding absolute loyalty from your founding team. And if you find people that you feel are loyal, in Bulgarian, we have the saying, until you eat a barrel of salt together, you don't know the other person. So I do advise people not to get too fast in marrying somebody as their co-founder. Maybe they try to work together, they check the motivation to work on this particular exact problem because entrepreneurship is always problem driven.
Yeah.
And if you're passionate enough to work on a problem together, I mean, not the daily problems, the challenge that you're solving as a startup, and if you have close to perfect work ethics, then you're a good team together. Otherwise, it gets dramatic and you got divorced in a painful way several years down the road.
Got it. You just raised the bar for finding a co-founder so high that I think
It should be. It should be. Yeah,
Yeah, I mean,
yeah.
it's
One
one
of my
thing.
main advices.
Yeah, one thing you said is, that you said that I find really interesting is this thing about you compared it to marrying someone, and I mean, I can totally agree and resonate with that because eventually, um, it is actually means working or maybe spending the biggest part of your day with this person, right? So I think it's
Absolutely.
very one needs to be very careful. I mean,
And
I
I heard something, I want to add something
yeah,
shortly here. I heard advice from Mark Zuckerberg with all the controversy around him, but still he's a very smart person. I think he has some good gems as well. And it was about hiring, but I think it's even more important about finding co-founders. He said,
yeah,
hire only people that in a hypothetical universe, you would be okay to be your bosses. So you should find people for co-founders, ideally for employees, that you feel so ethical and so diligent and so generous and so capable that you would be gladly working for those people in a different universe or something. So again, you said the bar is high. I do second and third this. It should be very high to keep a co-founder. To start searching or to explore, to experiment, it might be lower. But then again, you don't get married, you only just get engaged or just date before you marry some months or a year ago later.
got it. Yeah, that's very precious advice. Thanks for sharing that, Yuri. And maybe one more thing, because you have like, by the way, you mentioned that you started the newsletter. Maybe later we can also publish the link so that people can subscribe to it. I think it would be very interesting to be. I mean, I would love to subscribe, right, and
Yeah.
to get the wisdom you're sharing. Maybe one more thing about because apparently for so many years you said that Imagga by now is rather a stable business. So apparently you had to take many difficult decisions. Can you give us an example of a difficult decision that you had to take once, and how did you go about taking the decision?
I think entrepreneurship to a huge extent is decision making all the time, every day, typically some between a few and a few tens of decisions, and most of them are not trivial. Because you are in a scarcity of resources, of opportunities, of sometimes of runway, and you need to complete optimize things all the time. So one highlight that I can recall was from the years before the initial commercial growth of Imagga. So we still had very few customers. They paying us like a few $100 per month or something, and maybe we had like a total revenue of 3,000 US dollars per month,
Okay.
which was not completely terrible and disastrous for a startup, but we have a short investment runway. We got our first and practically only investment from Launchpad Ventures and a few business angels, and then we got a request from a huge customer. This was Swisscom, one of the biggest telecoms in Europe by revenue because it's in Switzerland. Everything very expensive there. And they asked us to process huge amounts of images. And because based on the reference of the small customers we had and the pricing we had, we should have charged them 300,000 per year. Compare this to our total revenue of, let's say, 30, 40,000 per
Yeah.
year of all other customers. And we got a bit scared, like, shall we tell them this number? Are they going to run away? Shall we discount it? Shall we give it for free just because we want to have them as a customer? And, stirring the pot a little bit, but we had two different advices. One of them was from one of the investors in our fund, and they
Hmm.
said, give them almost for free because you want to have them as a customer, as a reference, etc. And the other one was from our one of our angel investors who is very successful. He was part of the biggest Bulgarian IT exit so far, Telerik, one of the co-founders.
Nice.
And I wrote him, and it was a Sunday, but he called me back and he told me, tell them what's the price, then offer them a structure that will make sense for them, and then eventually say them that you are giving them some kind of a discount. But tell them what's the price because they need to understand that this is valuable.
Yeah.
And even if you do some kind of compromise on the price or the
Hmm.
structure, he told me again, structure is more important than absolute value because they want to grow and they want to, let's say, grow, but their expenses not explode, etc. So we sent them an offer which was about 170,000 US dollars, not euro, and they
Okay.
didn't stop the conversation. And for us, this was like, oh my God, these guys do recognize the value in what we do. So
Yeah.
it was a hard thing, and it's maybe it looks like a positive story right now, but it was kind of stressful because it's one of those make it or break it moments. And what this changed for us, and I'm very grateful to this angel advisor, angel investor and advisor of us, because this gives us the confidence that what we do is valuable and that big customers don't run away from big checks and big paychecks or big bills if they recognize the value. And this completely changed us because after that we got, let's say, in the next 2 months we got multiple requests from relatively big US customers, and we were writing them big invoices or big offers with a very easy heart. And this completely changed because of this moment. So one of the very moments when you need to make tough calls, but that's part of entrepreneurship. And I think one of the best qualities of entrepreneurs is to develop the intuition. Let's call it the entrepreneurial intuition. What are the right things to do, and taking all these different factors into account as you progress, as you build your network, as you gather your advisory board, etc.
Got it. Okay, that's very valuable, Georgi. And by the way, at the conference, we're also going to have a sales track with a business value selling session that I'm going to lead. And there we're going to talk exactly about these things. How do we demonstrate the value of the offering? Because our main objective is that we show many founders how not to sell their inventions or their services at almost zero price, but to really justify and explain to customers what the value is and why it costs what it costs. So that's very
Maybe,
good. Yeah.
yeah, for next year's edition, you can invite Alex Hormozy, but told him, just one spot, so he needs to act fast and play his own game on him.
We
He's a very,
yeah,
yeah.
we'll try. I mean, I don't want to give away too much about international speakers, so I'll just shut up now and ask you the next question. So maybe last thing is because I mean, you've been through all the phases of a startup. You created now a second one. So maybe what is your advice to someone who is starting right now or who is wondering if they should start?
I think there is a prerequisite of things that should be there to start a startup. And this, just from the perspective of how do you look at the startup idea, I think there are three important pillars to start anything and to keep it sustainable and eventually growing in the next upcoming years, because it will definitely take years, right? So
Yes.
the most important, though the three are non-exclusive, and if you don't have the three, things will fall apart, no matter if one of them is very strong. But still, I think the most important one is to really love what you do and what you're going to do, to see this as some kind of a mission, no matter how abstract it is. It might be very obvious. One of the good things in healthcare is that mission is very obvious there. It might be more subtle or more indirect, but still, you personally, and by you, I mean you and your co founders eventually, after you try to live together as a startup for some time, to really love what you do and do it. If you don't get paid, if you won't get rich, if you won't get famous, if there are so many hurdles along the way, that you'll still be doing that. I think this is the by far the most important thing. You really need to resonate with what you're doing. Maybe there are ways to be a successful entrepreneur just for the money, or if you're a very good salesperson, whatever, but at least this is not my type of. I would never be motivated to do the things that I need to do. And I think that if you have hurdles and you don't love the thing that you do and you've just been visualizing and fantasizing about huge success, you're just going to drop it. The second factor that should be there is that you should be good at what's supposed to be do. And by you, I mean you and your team or your employees or your advisors, but definitely collect a team of people who can get the job done, because otherwise it will be just daydreaming.
Yeah.
And this doesn't mean at time zero. It means as you see progress, you need to, I think we need to realize we need to learn, as we are learning right now about regulatory, for example, etc.
Yeah.
Last but not least, and maybe most important from a sales perspective, build something that actually people need. So this is the mission part, also not your personal, but your, let's say, impact aspect of the mission. Something that people do need. They need to have a problem, desire, need, etc., to be hungry for what you're building, because this, at the end of the day, determines its commercial success. And commercial is not a bad word. It means that you should be successful, because if you want to grow and if you want to reach more people with the things that you're doing, you need to grow. So you need to be commercially successful, you need to be profitable, you need to make money. Of course, you as a founder will have some benefits and dividends, literally or indirectly, from that. But at the end of the day, you need to scale to impact. Last but not least, as a combination of all those, this should be present. But I think it's important to be ambitious. And this is sometimes mistaken with ego-driven, megalomaniac, or something disorder. I don't think this is the case. I think that as we have limited lifetime, we need to do things that are as impactful and possible in the shorter or longer term, depending on how much time they're gonna take. And this naturally inspires people. If you want to do something that's really ambitious, that's a moonshot, you need to inspire people. At the end of the day, you cannot do it alone. Either being a single co-founder or not, you're going to have many employees, partners, affiliates, etc. So when you're ambitious, this is motivating for others. If you charge for battle, if you say, this is the summit, we need to capture it, etc., and everybody got goosebumps and they want to run and throw their life into realizing of something that's ambitious. Nobody likes mediocre goals unless it's a hobby or something.
Got it. Got it. So much valuable advice from you, Georgi. Thank you very much for sharing that. So with that, I mean, people are going to have an opportunity to hear even more from you at the conference. So there are going to be several sessions where you'll be joining. Very soon, we're going to be launching the program, and people will be able to see exactly at what time and what day you will be talking.
Me
Highly
too.
appreciate once again. Yeah, you will also know that very soon, in case you don't know it yet. But I think you already have the blocker. So highly appreciate you taking the time. We're sorry we interrupted your deserved break, or like your kind of way to have a break and at the same time advance your projects. So thank you once again. And before we actually let you go, I think Vili, we have some questions. Yeah. I mean, I think there are so many kind of endless topics that people can learn about.
Yeah, in the meantime, thank you for having me, and excited about the conference, and um, admire your effort, again, your ambition to what I was just referring to make something. It's good to be big from the vanity point of view, but also from the impact point of view. So yeah, I think that consolidating the energy of entrepreneurs in Bulgaria is important. And I think Bulgaria is relatively compact and quite well developed community. Still a lot of things to improve, but I think that in general the direction is good. So I think this effort you're making, again, with all these side initiatives as well, and of course with the main event, it's admirable, and I wish it to be the most positively impactful it could be, for the local and not local, maybe the regional, and then expanding further this entrepreneurial community.
Great. I appreciate you saying that, Georgi. I mean, we're doing, I mean, we also more or less following your advice and your steps. We also started with a big ambition, so that it's something that we definitely want to invest all the energy all the time. I mean, the team is working very dedicatedly every day to, and actually here, kudos to the team, right, for all the energy that they put into making this happen. And I really hope that we set the beginning of a great tradition, and that maybe I mean, we're already thinking of next year, of exact dates and when we're going to do it, and so on. So I really hope that we manage to, as you said, to consolidate and make it even like bigger and stronger, the entrepreneurial community, and that we increase the number of its members, right? Because maybe sometimes, maybe in some places, there are still some people who are still not part of it. And I think that's also one of the main objectives. We want them to connect to people like yourself, to hear the stories, to hear what it is. I mean, I always say that it's very expensive to learn from your own mistakes. It's always easy if you can also learn from the experience of others. And that's also one of the many objectives we have.
Mm.
Vili, I think in the meantime, we do have some questions. Or
Well, naturally, maybe I'm biased because that's what we're doing, but diagnostics are very applicable area for AI because you have many data, you have many biomarkers from different examinations, from different so-called modalities, X-rays, MRIs, now thermography that we apply in Kelvin Health. And the fact that even in remote regions, even without initial direct intervention of doctors, which are very scarce, even in economically developed countries, the opportunity to apply artificial intelligence at scale to help for wide screening of various diseases that are preventable, I think it's very impactful application. There are many, I guess, but we've been very much laser focused on making better diagnostics through AI and through accessible modalities of imaging, like in our case, thermography. Of course, there are others like ultrasound, etc., but thermography is a very global one. So the fact that AI is not emotional is also a good one. Of course, emotion is an important part of human experience, but you can process many requests, and at the end of the day, specialists will still decide what's the best path for the patient, but to source this information and this input and then make a very well informed decision as a human being, I think it's a very impactful application. And America, the US is an example, very economically developed, running basically the half world's economy, etc., but very bad access to healthcare. And this is a very bad thing. In Bulgaria, of course, remote regions, low income population, etc. So if you have ways to give something accessible to people to help them prevent conditions, because unfortunately many conditions, breast cancer for example, survival rate at stage 1 is 96+%, at stage 4 is 28 minus. So you can make the calculation. It makes a difference when you get diagnosed. If you have accessible ways powered by AI, it will be an enabler, the AI, then it's a very impactful thing, and we're excited about it.
That's good. It's also quite novel. You're dedicating your time to working on such a cause, right? So that's great. Well, thank you very much, Georgi. Once again, we release you now to spend some time with the family as much as you can. I hope it's not very intense, especially considering that tomorrow is a national holiday.
Mm.
Thank you once
Thanks
again,
again
and
for your
see you
attention, and
at the
happy to keep
conference.
in touch. Bye bye.
Great. Thank you.
Bye.
Okay, so now that Georgi is going back to his dessert vacation, let's go to several more announcements and news that we have. First of all, investor pitches. I think we said it several times. In the meantime, we have a process. So what it means is that we are giving the opportunity to several startups to pitch in front of investors. So we are inviting many international investors who are going to be, I mean, international and local, of course. We're inviting them to be with us at the conference, and we're organizing a special session where right now we're going for 20, but maybe if there is a much bigger interest, we would think how to make it maybe even bigger. Like we're inviting, or we're giving the chance to 20 startups to pitch their I would call it idea or business to investors. Now, why am I calling it idea or business? Because not there are not really big criteria about applying. Right now, what we are asking you to do is uh, describe quickly your project. No need to send pitch decks, big PowerPoints, or anything. What we are asking you to do is just kind of describe the business that you're having now, or at least in what stage it is. If you don't have the business, but you're just planning. And what we're going to do is we're going to kind of pre-select you and then decide to do this matching during the conference. Why are we doing that? Because I think I said it several times. Maybe some of you just have an idea and you want to get some feedback, and maybe it's better if you talk to a business angel, because business angels are generally known to want to talk and help young entrepreneurs with the different ideas they have, maybe to collaborate, co-design, and so on. Then maybe some of you already have a mature big business and you want to go for international expansion, or you want to go like for significant investment. And that's where, based on what stage your business is in, we're going to match you with these investors that are rather looking for the businesses with a lot of revenues, growth, traction, and so on, that they really want to help scale to the next level. That's why we will have this kind of selection process. So the way to apply is scanning this QR code. This will take you to our website, and then you just have to fill out a form. And then filling this form means that our team um, will have the opportunity to look through your business, through your application, and then kind of select you. Then we're going to reach out to ask you for more details and start arranging the meetings. One thing we are asking you to is don't share anything confidential that you wouldn't like us to see, right? Like we are having, it's also in our terms of policy. We are going to treat all the information that you're sharing with us in a confidential way. Just if you have concern about sharing anything, just please don't share it. Rather share a little bit. Even if you just describe the idea and you don't have a pitch deck, that's enough for us to make the first selection. And then later, when we get more advanced in the process, then you can share the rest. So I think that's everything we want to say about investor pitches right now. If there are any questions, feel free to reach out on all the channels. In the meantime, we are everywhere. We are on Facebook, we are on Slack, we are on um, um, LinkedIn, Instagram. There is a Viber group that we asked you to join. Which one, sir? Yeah, Viber, exactly. Viber is an official partner in the meantime. So you'll see our channel is officially verified, validated. Hopefully also one of the recommended ones when you start writing startup. So you can find us there. And then I think what we wanted to share, last time we shared some statistics on what are investors looking for a startup and what are entrepreneurs looking for. So today I wanted to share a little bit more information, statistics from a study we ran in, I think it was March this year. And it was about the Bulgarian ecosystem, the Bulgarian startup ecosystem. So what we did is we asked people, so these were investors and entrepreneurs. We were asking them what improved in the Bulgarian ecosystem over the last 5 years. Why did we ask about improvement and not generally about change? Because we wanted to see what is the positive change that has happened and what are the improvements there have been. I mean, if you want to, we can always provide many negative things or negative examples. But what we want to do here is we want to really see what are the positive things that make entrepreneurship easier, that make it better, that really help you if you wanted to build a startup, that you can really build your startup. So if you look into the factors we classified them, I mean, apparently the percentage here is showing you how many from the people who we asked agreed that this is the approach. So 45% confirmed that there is a lot of mutual support. And I think we just had the best example. Georgi joined us out of his holidays to share some practical tips, to give us advice, to tell us about his journey. He's writing a newsletter, helping other people with his wisdom that he's gathering, right? I mean, believe me, it cannot be more positive of an environment than this one, right? And each of the people we are inviting at the conference, they are happy to help. They are going there on a Friday, Saturday, Sunday in order to share their learning, to share their knowledge with you, to meet you in person, right? So that's definitely something you want to take advantage. I mean, imagine if it was the opposite situation where no one actually wants you to succeed and no one is telling you anything and they let you fail on everything you're doing, right? So I think we can all appreciate that we have this great thing in the Bulgarian culture. Number two was funding. There are many funding options lately. I mean, international, national. You just heard Georgi went rather for, I mean, he mentioned some local investors. He also mentioned kind of going to the US and then doing the business there directly. What we are preparing for you is there are going to be several sessions about the different funding options, funding the growth of your business, like when you're starting, when you're growing, and so on. And the main idea here is that we want to give you many options so that you get an overview of what is happening, what are the opportunities. And then once you have these, you can decide what is the best or the worst form for you. As we said, each form has its pros and cons. Georgi just told us, for example, he didn't want to have investors because he didn't want to be rushed into particular areas. I mean, apparently that also meant that they had enough cash from other projects to bootstrap it. So maybe that's something that's applicable to them. But maybe you're in a situation where you will prefer to have an investor to be pushing you, to be kind of again, I mean, by saying that we create the impression that investors are just pushing. No, it's just about accountability, right? Like someone trusted you with their money and what you want to do. You promise them they get a huge return, and now you want to deliver on that return. It's all about this, nothing else, nothing more, right? Then number three, success is possible. We just mentioned that there have been many success stories over the last years. We just mentioned the exit of the Telerik company. Now we have the first unicorn that is going to be with us at the conference as well. We have many other exciting projects. Most probably, we're going to present to you Ampeco very soon in one of the next webinars. So it is possible, right? If years ago we believed that it's very difficult and only different countries, microeconomic environments or macroeconomic environments can create businesses, nowadays we can see that everyone with enough persistence and energy can do that. And that's where people agree. Next one is knowledge. There are so many ways to learn about the things you need to know in order to build a successful startup. There are so many what we call ecosystem builders. Many of them are going to be at the conference together with us. You have Able, you have Innovator, you have Besco, you have Startup Factory, Varnapreneurs. There are so many communities and universities, by the way, and schools that are teaching you the right things about entrepreneurship. So if nowadays you wanted to learn something, to learn more about operations, to learn more about strategy, financial planning, design thinking, there are ways to look at it online as well. We are launching, like I said, this sales mastery track where you'll be able to learn more about sales, especially as an entrepreneur. Because I think I said it many times, as an entrepreneur, your main role is to sell, to be selling your vision to investors, to be selling um, your the job opportunities to the employees, to be selling your offering. So all of these, I mean, I think we can all agree that it's very crucial for you to be selling, and that's why we are going to have this sales mastery track. We are going to show the details a little bit later. And the last one is the early start. So with the early start, I mean, we're always happy to hear and to see how many of you are starting at an earlier age. I mean, first startup, we just saw Georgi. He did it. He's been now 16 years at Imagga. So I mean, we can reverse calculate what was his age. Um, I mean, we see many and many entrepreneurs that are doing something great with 18, with 22, with 25, or at least they are trying. And this is only encouraging to see and to hear, because that actually means that nowadays more and more people are excited about this startup idea, and more people are giving it a try. So that's also our idea, to encourage you to see these great examples so that you can also dare to start if you haven't started already. So this was the statistic. I hope it was useful. Let me know actually maybe in the comments later if it's useful. And if it is useful, we're going to produce even more. We have many studies. We're doing them regularly, so we could be sharing them. Now, I think two more announcements. Actually, I know everyone's waiting to understand who is the winner of the free ticket this week. But before that, for whoever hasn't understood, Sofia Event Center is the location, one of the primary locations. We're going to have at least two more locations with kind of overflow spaces for people to join the workshops and the hackathon. But for those of you who haven't seen it, we have a very exciting video where we're showing you what are all the benefits of the Sofia Event Center. It's going to be great. We're going to have many rooms for the lectures. We're going to have a lot of space for networking. So like I just said, we are aiming at 2,000 people joining there in person. I mean, at the whole conference. So just in case you haven't, get your ticket and we'll see you there. And now, Vili, I'll let this next segment to you, because I know that you were checking all the answers to make sure that we do have the right answer to the difficult question we asked last week. So over to you.
Yes, we are withdrawing our. We already did withdraw our weekly winner. This time is, I think the name is Elena or Eleni. You can see on the recording how we chose the winner. Everything is fair. We do it a little bit before the webinar, and yeah, congratulations to the winner. We will soon reach out to you with your award. And for the rest, thank you for participating, and stay tuned for our next giveaway. Meanwhile, actually, Georgi sent me the link to the newsletter, so I'm gonna post the link here in the chat for everyone interested in the topics. And
Yeah,
okay,
I think that would be useful. Thanks for that, Vili. Sorry, my connection went a little bit wrong, I think. Okay, announce the winner. Very soon we're going to announce the new one, right? So um, we're going to announce very soon how you can get the next ticket. Every week we're getting tickets, so follow the challenges on Instagram, participate. It's always a question that is checking more or less how much attention you're paying to the conference. I mean, we're not making them way too difficult. Then the right way for you always is to tag two of your friends together with the answer, and then you're getting the ticket for the conference. Great. So I think that's everything for today. Thanks for joining us, everyone. We are going to post very soon the conversation with Georgi for the people who missed it. And for everyone who hasn't, get your ticket and we'll see you in more or less 2 months from now at the conference, 8th till 10th of November, Sofia Event Center. We'll see you there. Thank you.
See you there. Bye bye.